Hey, this is Andrew Brown. In this follow along, we're going to cover client-side encryption, specifically for S3, though doing client-side encryption, you can utilize it for a lot of things. But I'm getting my environment set up here. We're using the same AWS examples repo as we have been so far. I'm going to make a new folder here. I know we have an encryptions folder, so I'm going to say new folder, encryption client, so it's less confusing. And we'll make a new file here. We'll call it readme.md. So we're going to have to first create ourselves a bucket. So we'll say AWS, create a bucket. And this will be AWS S3 make bucket S3 : encrypt client fun AB. And we'll put some numbers here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this. We'll go ahead and paste this down below. Say allow, hit enter. And it overcopied stuff. There's no way I copied that line that many times. We'll go ahead and try this again and paste this in down below. And there we've created our bucket. So we want to create a file. So we'll do that. Create a file. Echo hello world. And say hello.txt as per usual. Let's make sure we are in the correct directory here. So I'll go ahead and cd into that. And we'll go ahead and paste that in here. We should have that file in there. I went into the wrong directory, that's why. Encryption client. We'll try this again. Okay, and so now we need to encrypt our data. I'm going to find the easiest solution is to use Ruby. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. If you don't like Ruby, tough luck. I go ahead and do a bundle install here, bundle init, and we're going to initialize a new gem file. And in here, there's a couple things that we probably want. We're going to want the AWS S3 SDK because they have examples for this. Every single SDK has a different way to do encryption. For client side, this basically is the same code that we're going to look for that. We can just look it up and say client side encryption for S3. Let's see if we can get a code example. Client-side encryption S3. And if we can find it here in the docs, we have a Ruby example, and here it is. Very simple, very straightforward. That's why we're grabbing it. So we have the AWS SDK installed. Another thing that we're going to need is something like Nokogiri, I'm going to just put Ox in. It's just an XML parser. There's a lot of options you can choose from. Ox is just easy for me to spell. Doesn't really matter what we use. I'm going to just put encrypt here as the file name. We'll go ahead and paste the contents in here. And so this is going to use OpenSSL. It's going to create an encryption key. Then we're going to create a client with encryption key. And then we can put our object to our bucket. And then we can see how this turns out. So I'm going to go ahead and grab my bucket name here and go back over to here, and we'll just say on a new line, bucket equals, and then single quotations. And we will supply that bucket here. Same story down here. And we'll also want to provide the key. So I'm going to go ahead and provide the key here. So this will be hello txt. So that's hello txt, hello txt. We can, we created a file here. I don't think we actually have to create a file. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that because when you supply the body here, it's not necessarily going to point to the file like we use in the CLI. This is actually going to provide the actual contents of the file. Okay. Here, if we wanted to have a file, we'd actually have to say like file.read and then make it a file and then pass it here, and then that would work. Okay, so this is actually going to be the contents that is inside of it. And this all looks really good, so I think this should work. We have a get, a put. I'm not sure if it's going to read any of this stuff out to the screen, so that's what I'm really curious about. But we'll go ahead and type in bundle install. If you're finding it hard to get Ruby installed, you should really use a cloud developer environment because they install these things by default for us. So let's be AWS SDK S3 like that. We'll do bundle install here. And so that will get our stuff installed. Give it a moment. It is thinking. Let it think. There we go. And so now we can run this bundle exec ruby encrypt.rb. If you're not sure what that is, I'll go ahead and copy this. And then if you want to grab it from here, we don't need to create a file. So I can just take this out. So run our encrypt and upload, run our script, our SDK Ruby script. We don't even need this. We'll just take this out. So we'll run this and we'll see if we can get any output from this. Enter. And it's saying it doesn't know what AWS is. We need to require that up here. I like how code examples always miss the things you need. It's great, eh? We'll hit enter. And it's complaining about some information here. This version of the S3 encryption client is currently in maintenance mode. AWS strongly recommends upgrading to the AWS version 2. So this is AWS's documentation, and they're pointing to the old stuff. So it's a good thing we ran this, eh? Let's go ahead and put in version 2, and let's see if that is enough to make this work. It's getting better. Missing required parameters, key wrap schema, content encryption schema, security profile. So a lot of options here that we don't normally need to provide. But let's go take a look and see what that is. Yeah, it says right up here. So it pointed us to this one. Can we get version 2 by just writing it in here like this? Version 2. There we go. Okay, and so that looks a little bit different. So copy this, paste it in, and that's fine. So we have RSA, OAPE, something, something, bunch of stuff. Looks good to me. What is it? I don't know, but we need it. Let's go ahead and run this. And now we still have an error. Invalid key, symmetric key required to be 16, 24, 32 or whatever. So it could be what we're doing out here it does not like. Let's see if this line is actually the same. We'll paste this in. Go back here. Sorry, I don't think it actually copied. We'll try this again. Copy. And I will paste. That's identical, right? So I'm taking the code exactly as it is. And it's telling me it doesn't like it. Give me a moment to figure this out, okay? All right, so asking ChatGPT, it's saying like we shouldn't use this, but at the same time, it's telling me that I'm overwriting the variable. So I don't think that it knows what it's talking about, at least in the top part here. But we're definitely overwriting that key. So what we'll do is just call this bucket key or object key. And so we'll have less of a conflict here. And that's maybe what our problem is. We don't actually even specify the key here, which is kind of interesting. But I'm going to go ahead and just change this to object key. And we'll try to change this to object key and see if that resolves our issue. Okay, so I'll go down here, type in clear. We'll go ahead and hit up. And now we have less of a problem. It's now not outputting anything, but we can find out some stuff here. So I'm going to go ahead and just type in RESP here, RESP here, and we'll just put some puts. So we'll say put, and this will be get, secure. Okay, and this one down here will be get not secure. Well, it's not necessarily it's not secure, but with key, like with key, without key. And then we'll just put these, we'll say puts response, and then this one down here puts response. We'll take a look and see what we get. And so here we're getting some information back. What I'm looking for here is the actual body or response information. This isn't very useful for me here. So what I'm going to do is put a binding pry in here so we can kind of investigate and take a look at what we want to see. Okay, so we'll do bundle install. We'll go ahead and hit up. I'm going to run this again. Oh, I got to put a binding pry in here. So we'll go here and put a binding pry right here. Okay, and so we got a response here, so I can put response. That looks good. So nothing useful yet, but we'll go down to this part here. Oh, by the way, this one's called reps. We'll say response. And then this one has to be assigned a response. That's probably why we weren't seeing anything different here. We'll take out the binding pry now. We'll go ahead and type exit with an exclamation mark. We'll go ahead and hit up. And so now we got it. So we get with key. So we get handshake, get without key. We get it without, we get the cipher text back. So yeah, there you go. That's pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and just clean this up. So we'll go back over to here. And we'll want to remove this bucket. Just say clean up here. And we'll want to remove the file, which I believe is hello.txt. And there you go. That is client-side encryption. We'll see you in the next one, okay? Ciao.